Hello, everyone. I'm Emily Teacher, and today we're going to read Leonardo da Vinci, Renaissance Man. The word Renaissance means rebirth. It is applied to the reawakening of interest in learning and the arts that began in Italy in the 15th century. This brought to an end the millennium known as the Middle Ages, during which learning and the arts stagnated. It is impossible to set precise dates for the Renaissance, but it began to flower around 1450. Its supreme genius is considered by many to be Leonardo da Vinci, 1452 to 1517. So during this Renaissance time at the end of the Middle Ages, became a time of learning and arts that started to really flourish. And the genius of this time was Leonardo da Vinci. Probably you've heard of him, but let's see if we can learn something more about Leonardo. Leonardo was born in the small village of Vinci, near Florence. As a youth, he studied painting and drawing in the workshop of the distinguished teacher Andrea del Verrocchio. His congenial disposition soon made him a popular member of Florence's artistic circles. His extraordinary artistic ability, coupled with an irrepressible curiosity about the workings of nature, gave promise to his future greatness. His mind teemed with fresh ideas about music, science, and mathematics, a condition that exemplified the new spirit of the age. Leonardo did not learn from the ancient writings of classical Greece and Rome, which had long been regarded as infallible guides to everything from the movements of the heavens to the workings of the human body. Instead, Leonardo learned from the world he saw about him. So, Leonardo was from Vinci, right? Leonardo da Vinci. He had a great disposition, right? He became really popular around artistic circles there. He had a great art ability. He was very curious about nature, and he had all sorts of ideas. He disagreed with the writings of classical Greece and Rome, not learning from those means, but learning from the things that were around him. In his 13th year, Leonardo moved to Milan to serve as a military engineer at the court of Ludovico Sforza. Shortly after his arrival, the city was devastated by the pestilence known variously as the Plague or the Black Death. The traditional view was that such events were sent by God to punish the wicked. In contrast, Leonardo's idea was to clean up the slums in hopes of preventing this tragedy from happening again. He filled his voluminous notebooks with designs for many projects, including the layout of towns, the building of churches, and improvements in weapons of war. He even drew up plans for submarines and helicopters. He wrote his notes in a left-handed mirror script. The writing can be deciphered only by holding it to a mirror and reading its reflection. So, many people at that time thought the Black Plague was sent by God to punish people, right? They didn't think of how to fix it, they just thought it is what it is. But Leonardo had an idea to clean up the areas around, right? So maybe it would stop it from happening again. He had many ideas which he would write in his notebooks in a backwards or mirrored writing. So you could only read it properly by holding it to a mirror and reading it that way. A very smart idea. Leonardo lived during a turbulent period. At that time, political power rested with individual city-states that vied with each other for supremacy. In 1499, the French, allied to the city-state of Venice and backed by Pope Alexander VI, invaded Milan. This ended Sforza's rule and caused Leonardo to flee the city. 2 years before his departure, he had completed his painting. He had completed his painting of the Last Supper on a wall of a Milan convent. Most painters of that period applied the paint onto plaster before it had dried. The technique was known as fresco. It gave a luminous quality to the finished work. In contrast, Leonardo painted the Last Supper on dry plaster using paints he had created. The painting began to deteriorate slightly even during Leonardo's lifetime. Yet, its dramatic composition and sublime spiritual quality have inspired awe in its viewers. So, in this time in Milan before he had to flee, um, Leonardo had painted the Last Supper on the wall of a Milan convent where the nuns lived. So, probably you have seen this famous painting. It even started to deteriorate during Leonardo's lifetime, but it was so famous that we even know what it is today. It's been reproduced many, many times. The second great work of art for which Leonardo is renowned is the portrait of a young woman whose enigmatic smile has intrigued people for centuries. This painting became known as the Mona Lisa. Leonardo painted it in 1503 following his return to Florence. Also dating from this period is a series of precise anatomical drawings made by Leonardo. At that time, knowledge of the workings of the human body was non existent. Doctors relied on centuries old texts to treat diseases, making medical treatment largely ineffectual. Leonardo obtained corpses from a Florence hospital and dissected over 30 of these in order to observe and make a record of their structure. So, after he returned to Florence, he painted the Mona Lisa. Also, during this time, he made drawings of the human body in a very accurate way. Doctors at that time didn't know much about the body. They relied on writings only, they didn't really research it. So, the medicine of that time didn't really work. But Leonardo received corpses or already dead bodies from a hospital nearby and took them apart. He dissected them to see exactly what the human body looked like and to make a record of it for the future. In 1513, Leonardo moved to Rome to work. However, he often became so mired in thinking about and recording the ideas running through his mind that he did not complete very many projects. Francis I, the enlightened young king of France, invited Leonardo to his country. There he remained the king's guest for at least for the last 2.5 years of his life. Out of gratitude, Leonardo gave the Mona Lisa to the young king. It has remained in France ever since. Each year, the painting attracts people from all over the world to view it in Paris's Louvre Museum. So, Leonardo did many, many things in his life. He went to Rome to work. He ended up not really completing a lot of projects because he had so many ideas, he just wrote them down. And the last couple of years of his life, he was with the young king of France, and he gave the Mona Lisa to him as a gift. And still today, the Mona Lisa lives in the Louvre Museum in France, and you could even see it the next time you travel there. Thank you for reading with me today. We do have links related to each article. If you want the link for this article here, you can find it down in the description below.